Good morning and welcome to the lovely sanctuary here at St. Paul's. It's an absolute joy to have you with us today as we begin our day with morning meditation. Good morning and welcome to St. Paul's. I'm Pastor Phil, and we're continuing on inside of the Gospel of John today, and we'll actually be completing it as we go through and we hear the last bit of this narrative dealing with the blind man. At verse 35, we continue. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and when he had found him, he said to him, "Do you believe in the Son of God?" He answered and said, "Who is he, Lord, that I may believe in him?" And Jesus said to him, "You have both seen him, and it is he who is talking with you." Then he said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshipped him. And Jesus said, "For judgment I have come into the world, that those who do not see may see, and that those who see may be made blind." Then some of the Pharisees who were with him heard these words and said to him, "Are we blind also?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no sin, but now you say we see, therefore your sin remains." In this gospel text, we hear some really amazing things going on. The one that I think is probably the most impressive and the most amazing is that as we followed this blind man through John chapter 9, we've heard him grow in his faith. He started out early on in the chapter as a blind man who didn't believe, even to the point that in that first section, he simply says that this guy Jesus is what they call him. He healed me and made me see. He continued to be interrogated by the Pharisees, and the result is he began to acknowledge Jesus not as God, but as a great prophet. And as he continued forward, we hear him move into more of a divine understanding of who Jesus actually is, resulting in him coming to the position of where he understands that Jesus is extraordinary, even to the point he's prepared to bend his knee. And then we hear Jesus today. And today, the blind man acknowledges Jesus as Lord and worships at his feet. It's remarkable and wonderful to see the way that Jesus abided with him in his blindness, healed him, and then shows back up. But it's important to keep in mind also the way that Jesus shows back up. He doesn't come to the blind man when he's in front of the Pharisees and there's that discussion going on. He doesn't come to the blind man in the middle of everything when the blind man is working out the details, for lack of better phraseology. What we see, though, is that Jesus appears to the blind man and walks beside him once faith is established. The Holy Spirit has been at work this entire time, breathing life into the sinful death of the blind man. And as we see him at the end of John 9, he's fully born again. His eyes are wide. He sees Jesus for who he is. He's even suffered the consequences of believing at this point, being cast out, and we see Jesus abiding with him. Perhaps it's also worthwhile to contemplate the idea that the blind man doesn't see Jesus again until he's been cast out. He's no longer seen as being part of that society and culture. And we even hear that the Pharisees had followed along. They kicked him out, and then they kept following him and then started arguing with Jesus again. You can't help but wonder, did they know that Jesus was going to appear again? You can't help but wonder if maybe the Pharisees understood that Jesus was who he was, but they didn't want to give up the authority and power that they had. Now in our own lives, we rejoice because we see ourselves in the blind man. We were once blind, but now we see. We once were apart from God, but now we are with him and we worship him. And these points in our lives are seen in all kinds of different places. We can see where Jesus came to us in our baptism, that we were made one with him. We see Jesus work on our behalf as we remember Easter and we come and receive the Lord's Supper. In each of these cases, we stand apart from the world around us, and as we stand apart from the world, we stand united with Christ. There's no way to stand with both. I pray that as you go into the day today, that you are blessed and that the Holy Spirit is upon you in the same way that he was upon this blind man that was able to see Jesus for who he was. I pray that you're blessed, that your life is a testimony to Jesus Christ, and that everything you need is provided. God bless, and I'll see you again tomorrow.